Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to today's episode, where you might be able to notice a few things off in the distance. In fact, if I look, like right in here, somewhere around here, you can see it. Hold up, there's like a specific vantage point. I could see it earlier. Hold on. Ah, there it is. Yeah, there it is. We look all the way over there. There's the iron golem. You might be saying, but that's really far away. How the heck can you see that? In fact, how can I see that? That's Valenverga over there. That's Shield and Engineer right now, and I think that right there is Quimbly over yonder. How can I see all of this? In fact, let's take to the sky so you get a better look as to what's going on. Look at that, the iron golem's right there. Look at that. And then that's Wally over there. We can see quite a few people. Now, this looks kind of weird over there. What's going on, you might be asking. Let's land on a tree here. Good. So I have the mod Voxy installed, which allows me to see really far. Now, it does not actually increase your render distance. It more or less paints a picture of what you've already explored. So I actually flew in all of this area so that way I could see it all from this vantage point. So we got the shopping district, we got Quimbly over there. I think that might be Fire, I'm not 100% sure. We got our neighbors, Val and Verga over there. We've got Shield and Engineer, as we mentioned, and then Denalid and Knight, which are right across from us, and Wally to the right. But if you look behind us, we can't see anything, despite being able to see all the way over there, because I have to explore that first. And basically, it's painting a giant picture of what we've already visited. Now, it doesn't have like these back areas, because I haven't gone there yet, but it's got quite a lot of area. But what do I want to do in today's episode? Well, today, it's time to start building the base. Or kind of, sort of. I first need to build a road. If we go into our map, I want to build a road from up here that spans all the way down here, wraps around, and stops about here, just because I don't know where else to go with it. Now, in today's episode, I think we're only going to build the chunk that goes here, so that way I can connect up our little secret passageway to our little shack here, build more forest, have a road going this way, so we can build one of our first structures off in this distance, our storage system, and we can finish this lump that I'm standing on. Now, the reason I want to get this all terraformed is because underneath it, or at least right now, it's not a hole yet. I want it to be a hole, so I can put giant moss farms inside of here, so that way I can get a lot of bone meal, because I need a lot of bones. Also, off camera, you might have noticed, I got a beacon. So yeah, we've got a beacon now. The other thing that I got, boom, did a little bit of end busting, got a little bit of shulker boxes, so we can gather resources a little bit easier now, since we're still waiting on Val to get his part of the deal done with the whole shulker business of ours. But alas, here we are. So yeah, I want to terraform this and build a little bit of the forest on top of it, so when we're down here, we can actually see the entire thing. Now, I will say, with this mod installed, this happens. It's still remembering that there was something there, so that's cool. Yeah. But those are my plans for today's episode, so without further ado, let's get started. Alright, well, another distraction. I see this. Honeycomb. Now, if you don't remember why that's important, well, this isn't meant to be blue, but I didn't have any honeycomb. So, we're going to take the 52 diamonds. I only got 1 diamond from chain sales, which is fine. A lot of my stock right now, we're going to buy 2 stacks. Why not? I think that... Yeah, 2 stacks right there. I think this should be enough for that. But anyways, my prices right now, I will say, are a little on the pricey side, but that's because we still need an upgraded iron farm to really supply this place. We still got plenty of stock here. In fact, I could fill this up. I just kept forgetting to. Let's see how our guy, if you all remember, let's see how populated, we can see how populated the iron golem has been with this, and we can send that back. Very nice, very nice. I'm glad this thing works, because it's so funny. Ta-da. Or stop. But we need to really fill these up. I think chains, I want to bump up to like 3 stacks per diamond eventually. Hoppers, I want to do 32, and Anvils, I probably will bump that up to like 24. Try to do evenly. I just need to fill this out. Probably keep these bigger ones at 6 stacks, even though it isn't the greatest price for it. Because no one's going to need like 12 stacks of rails. So I think 6 stacks will do good. I just need to fill it up. But iron is kind of slow-ish, but it's fine. We're gonna upgrade it in the future. That's a future me problem. Anyways, I realize that the thing that I need right now, most of all, is sand and gravel and ink sacs or black dye. So I need to figure out where a desert is to absolutely decimate it, and where I can find gravel. Now, I usually go underground for gravel, but we're gonna need quite a lot because I want to make black concrete for the road. So that is my current plan. So I will meet you guys at a desert. And here we are. We found our desert. Let's go. Now, all the way back there, that's as far as we got. But we're here. We got new stuff. We can get the shrubs as well, which is very nice. These guys as well, which is a lot of good stuff here. Now, I think it is time to just destroy as much of this desert as possible and gather up as much sand as possible. I'm thinking like, let's go overboard. Let's get 3 shulker boxes of sand. Just because you better have more. So without further ado, let's get digging. Alright, we now have a road. Very nice, very nice. As you can see, some things have changed with the road. For example, after driving on a real road, I noticed that it was yellow in the middle and white on the sides, and they always have this like little amount of siding. And I plan with like this area here to kind of rough it up a little bit, put more gravel and whatnot, maybe mix it into this, because I've noticed it was like really broken on the side. But this road here, that's going to run from the top of this area all the way down to here. It's going to be way more well maintained. And then we have the side road that'll lead into the actual complex, which you'll notice I got rid of the siding that was here. And you might be like, well, why'd you do that? And I'm like, well, once again, after driving on a real road, I noticed that the more like foresty, hilly parts didn't have the white line. It just kind of went into like a cracked, asphalty to gravel zone right in the middle. So we'll try to emulate that right in this section, with this still being the 6 blocks, but there's no white line nor the siding here because it wasn't there in the road. And this road here is not very well maintained because these complexes aren't used anymore. But we have all of this going all the way to just about here, just because I did not have the resources to quite finish it off. We can easily get more, but black concrete, I gotta kill a lot of squid to get this. So I hope somebody sells dyes or concrete in the future, because, man, this is going to take a lot of black dye. But if we go into the map menu, so we have this road here. This is good for right now. We get a rough idea. And then we have this road. But this whole area here needs to be terraformed, because we need to bring this out yonder, and then eventually we can start digging underneath of it to make the moss farms. This I plan to have going straight, and then once it gets to about the lava here, probably start turning into another road that'll go here. We'll make some kind of a bridge-ish kind of thingy right over the river. It's not a very big river, so I don't think we need a big bridge, but kind of a thing. This one's a little bit bigger, but it's also kind of weird. I have an idea of what to do with this, making it more of a graded giant concrete platform that it's just resting on. We'll worry about that in the future. Right now, this is all we really need to start terraforming. So, without further ado, it's on this side. I think it is time to start tearing away these trees and start terraforming this area. So let's get back to work. And we are done with the terraforming. If we go up into the sky, we have a massive amount of area terraformed. Now, this area isn't quite done yet. I need to bring this over and try to figure out exactly where this is going to go. But we have enough area now terraformed that we can get the more important things done, which are the underneath of this section. Now, it is kind of a weird terraform here, and even like looking at this could probably be shortened a little bit so it doesn't have this weird jut out. There are definitely areas where it can be improved, and we will be tweaking it as we go. 'Tis the nature of terraforming. But what's actually needing to be done, we need to figure out a way to get inside of this thing. Yeah, what's the easiest way inside of here? That's a good question. We'll have an entrance soon enough. Is this the easiest way? I don't even know if that's the easiest way. We'll just free cam it for now. This is the area that we've got. It's quite big. This is completely dark. Like, these are all spawnable spots we need to go through and light this area up so we don't have to worry about it. But we need to clear out a ton of space. I mean, we need to dig this out. A lot of it. You know, dig out a big old square. Make sure we have the space for it. Probably do it within the chunks. Like, maybe, you know, we'll dig out this chunk. We'll dig out this chunk. Not that one. I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. You'll see. We'll dig it. We'll dig. We have lots of digging to do, is all you need to know. So I'm going to start digging this out because I really need to. Now, the benefit of all this digging is we get a lot of stone, and that stone can be turned back into chiseled stone bricks, which then can be turned into lodestones, which we need to stock up a lot of, because right now they're extremely expensive because I didn't have the stone to actually craft them all. I had tons of iron, just not the stone. So, it's digging time. Yep. That's a lot of resources. That's a lot of boxes, and each one of these is a moss farm in here. It took me forever to get all of these resources. The actual number of resources or of boxes that are here are 32. And if each box represents a moss farm, that means we're building 32 moss farms here. And as you can see with the leaf litter, we have the layout mapped out. So we're going to have 4 by 4. These are going to go up by 4. And then we'll build stuff around it. This will be the entrance over here somewhere. We'll worry about that later. The beacon will move to the middle once we actually start building it. We're going to build this one first. But we're missing one resource here. Technically two, but this is water, and we can easily get more of that. But we're missing this resource here, which is actually inside of this. Boom! 9 stacks of pistons, but more accurately, they're supposed to be sticky pistons. And I don't have any slime. So I need 9 stacks of slime balls to get all of these. So there's 2 options for me. Option A is we go to the swamp and we just kill things, and that's what we've been doing. I mean, I literally went out and gathered like 7 stacks of cactus for green dye just so I could have the glass be green. It doesn't need to be green, but I wanted it to be green, so it's green now. Or we build a slime farm. We find a slime chunk. We can easily do that with mini HUD. We can find ourselves a slime chunk or 2 and build ourselves a slime farm. We've got the iron for all the iron golems in a slime farm. Or another one, we could build a slime farm in the swamp, which would require a lot of mushrooms, but with access to the nether roof, that shouldn't be too difficult. I don't know which one I'm going to do yet. I am going to probably try just killing some slime in the swamp and see how well that goes and how many I can get, because I don't really want to build a slime farm, but nobody sells slime, so we're just going to play it by ear, and I will meet you guys back here when I have all of the resources. And we decided to build a slime farm, and here it is in action. It is actually way better than I thought this would be. I just kind of whipped this thing together. I literally just grabbed stone, went to the nether roof, grabbed a bunch of mushrooms, ran out, realized that firefly bushes give off a light level of 2 and then one right next to it. So yeah, we just kind of filled the rest of it with firefly bushes that we were able to get across. And yeah, let's go check out. Fun story. I was watching a Flip episode and I got 18 minutes in and I had already gotten all of the slime that I needed in just those 18 minutes. I only have 1 chest down here. I don't think it's enough. Okay. Yeah, so there's our stack that we needed. But yeah, that's a lot of this stuff. And like, we open, yeah, this is full. Let's just take that out. We're just gonna fly away and leave that be. But man, this thing is really good. I will come back here and fix it up, make it a little bit more efficient, as in make the collection system a little bit better, have it like stop, unload, go into a crafter and kind of fix it up and everything like that. That's very nice. I bet it would have been better. We do have a mob switch on here. One of our members built one. It's like over yonder somewhere. So that was on for a little bit. He turned it off for me so I could get this clip and show you kind of how the farm works. But yeah, I just kind of whipped that together. No tutorial. I just was like, I know this works. I know how swamp farms work. I had to Google a few things, but there you go. We now have all of the slime that we need. We do have some extra like stone and stuff. We just pop down in here. Woo! Actually, ironically, I think my my pistons are in the cabin. Hold up. Hold up. Let's go to the cabin right now and make ourselves the sticky pistons that we need. Yeah, this is what I got from just killing some guys. I even thought about trying to use oozing potions, and I didn't need to do any of it, and now we can just boom. Also, if you're wondering why my slime is gray instead of green, that is due to... Take those out first. That is due to vanilla tweaks. So if you want to, you can go on to vanilla tweaks, and that'll show you how to do that. We'll just shove that in there and worry about it later. But I need to split all of these amongst all of those shulker boxes and make sure there's 18 in each shulker box. And then we can build the first moss farm. So let's get to it. Our storage shrunk a significant amount. That's because, yeah, we've built 32 moss farms here. Now this is just insane. The scale of this is crazy. That giant hole, yeah, that's for all these moss farms. And that's not even the half of it. As you can see, started putting in a wall here, and that wall is primarily made out of bone blocks, and it's going to be completely made out of bone blocks all the way up to about here-ish. And then we're going to have a, like, domed roof that'll kind of finish off the edge. Not like a full dome, but, like, it'll go up a decent amount and then filter through. And then we have to dig down more digging because we need the space for everything else to go. Now, the next thing I need to do is probably turn all the excess chests that I have into hoppers and have hopper lines going all the way down, at least to these guys. And these will just kind of be buffers for all of them, mainly because it's going to be kind of hard to get it all to fit there. And I think it would look cool to have a buffer in there every once in a while. So those will go straight down, and then we'll figure out where we'll have the storage systems. Well, my thought is it'll go into a auto crafter. We won't need to have item sorter because only bone meal will be in the system. Bone meal should only be in the system. Go into auto crafters, which will be below this layer here, which will then go into another area, which will go into the storage system, which once again, we don't need item sorters because it'll only be bone blocks, which will go into the storage, which will be right in the middle here, a couple layers down. And so we're going to have our way to get down on this side. So we'll come down this side straight to that level. We'll go, we'll have these two storage systems for both sides. They'll act individually, and we'll have two levers on the wall. One will power this entire side, and the other will power this side. So it's 16 moss farms in each area. Each row or each column of moss farms is in its own individual chunk. Does that do anything? I don't know. It's in case we ever get kicked from the server while AFKing, or we leave the area and it's on. If they're all in a chunk, no redstone is being separated, so hopefully it won't break. But I've already been kicked once and it broke. So yeah. So the next step, as I mentioned, is getting all of the logistics sorted out while we also can get this. Once we get all of the sorting systems and auto crafters and all of that done and dusted, we will worry about hooking these all up because the inputs on all of them are right here. Now for each of these machines, it's in the same spot. We can't just go straight up. So in the decoration, right in this zone, I plan to have a pillar. We'll have a redstone line that goes up through that, and then it'll go across somehow into this, but we need to make sure not to cross paths with that. So we'll have to think about how we're going to actually get that to work. I don't know redstone well enough, but I could probably find some way. So next step, let's get a wall on this, get some of those decorations in place, and start figuring out the bottom portion of this moss farm. Alright, back to the grind. Well, yeah. So there's a lot of hoppers here. And yeah, it took 5 stacks of hoppers just to fill this one side. And we have, what, 5 more of those? So that's going to be, 10, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 stacks of hoppers. Almost an entire shulker box worth of hoppers. I don't got that kind of wood, man. I got the iron. I ain't got the wood. I ain't got the wood for all this. I think I need a wood farm, and I need it really bad. After building this moss farm, that became prevalent with all the hoppers and chests that it required. And I reused the chests I didn't use for this in that, and I still don't have enough hoppers or chests. So I think it's time to build a wood farm. Now, the only problem is, where am I going to build this wood farm? Well, if you guys remember earlier in today's video, we built that, which is our slime farm, which is surprisingly really good for some reason. So yeah, I'm thinking a nether tree farm would go perfectly right there. And if you're wondering why a nether tree farm, why not just any old regular wood farm? Well, because it doesn't require any player input, meaning I can just AFK at it and it'll just work and I won't have to do anything. So it's an easy wood farm to, once you have it built, get a lot of wood from. I don't really care about the wood itself, so I don't think I'm going to keep the wood. I'm going to turn it straight into chests, at least the start of it out, because that's what I need it for. Because we'll need it for the shulker farm as well once Val builds that. We'll need all the wood for all the chests so we can actually supply all of the shulkers. Now, I planned to build it in the end, but unfortunately, Val still hasn't built that shulker farm, so we're building it over near the slime farm, since that'll just kind of turn into our little industrial district. There is a witch farm, there's a witch hut, over there, which I have claimed just in case I wanted to turn it to a farm. Not so sure if I want to do that, because Shield already has a witch farm and is selling redstone, so might want to not, just to support capitalism. But at the same time, maybe I will. So without further ado, I'm going to gather up the resources and build a nether tree farm. And now we have another tree farm, which is really exciting. Now it is time to turn this thing on. I literally just built it like 30 minutes ago. Haven't tested it. We're about to see if it's about to break. So we're just going to flip it on and hope all goes well. Alright. Okay. Nice. Okay, we've got a dude. Let's go. Okay, so it's gonna push those, and then it's gonna, yeah. Very nice. That's working wonderfully. Okay. Looks like it is working perfectly. Very nice. And then we're getting some of these extra little bits here. Now my plan is we're just gonna compost all these extra guys here. Oh well, actually, I'm gonna keep the warp roots because we can actually use that in some of the decorations, like around the forest area. You'd be surprised, but these could work really well. And then the smaller guys, which I might want to get as well. But we could use this as kind of, I mean, literally a fungus kind of growing in there, or even just like a, you know, pop of color amongst all the green. There's a little bit of blue in there. Probably not this, but we'll compost these. I don't know if you can compost the wart, but if you can, we'll be composting it. And then, of course, as it's coming through, we have the wood. We actually get a little bit of the crimson root as well. We'll just be composting that. And yeah, first of all, I need to upgrade this. We need to create everything I just mentioned. A sorting system down here, as well as auto composting and auto bone block making, as well as the auto chest crafting, because that's really what I need wood for the most out of everything. I actually don't even think I need wood for anything else. So I think I might label this not a wood farm, but a chest farm, because that's what I need all of this wood for, is for chests. Because if I'm going to be using wood in other resources, such as trapdoors or, you know, signs, etc., I'm not going to use blue wood. I'm going to use spruce probably, which I don't mind buying a little bit of that from Wally, or Willy. I think I keep calling him Wally. I think it's Willy. I'm sorry, I forgot. It's okay. So we'll buy some from him, which will be perfect. Yeah, I'm going to turn this off because I don't have a lot of storage space for this thing. But this should be working perfectly fine. And those will go right next to it, so the TNT should hopefully never blow itself up. Yeah. It's working wonderfully. Okay, so I'm going to build myself this, and then we're going to hopperify the moss farm in there. And then we gotta let it run so we can get a ton of bone blocks and cut out the walls, and then we can worry about some of the other decoration. Okay, I know I said I was only gonna do the walls and everything like that and get the hoppers in place, but I think I got a little carried away. Now, normally we would drop down this hole where the beacon is, but we actually have a different way to go. So, yeah, we've made an elevator, which is kind of cool. It does take a little bit of a while to actually get there. If you notice, we're using blast furnaces as the walls. I think that looks very industrial, very sciencey. A little crafter up there to help the signal get through. Because I realized you can't actually power an observer through a block. So it needs to sense something. It needs to observe something. So of course we have a crafter there to observe that, and then we'll walk through. And this I'm really proud of, guys. This is amazing. This is the greatest feat of redstone. Ignore that. But give it a second. And boom. That's right. The doors automatically open and close before the elevator gets there each time. And then the callback button, which is just a long redstone line all the way to the top. And yeah, you might notice there's a lot going on over here. So we put bone blocks all over the walls, very white in here, but this was what I was going for. It gives you a kind of an idea of the brutalist style we're going for. Just, yeah, very white, very bland, very flat. But that's intentional. And then, yeah, this is beacon hole here. I might need that again because we built one elevator, yes, but what about a second elevator? We'll get to that in a second there. So we use free cam here. So we use smithing tables as the floor, as well as in here, and then we kind of used the deep slate bricks as kind of a rimming over here, as well as like the floor rimming here. But we left the stone bricks in there more as the wiring. So we do have that, which is very, very nice. Now, it did an AFK session. And yeah, you can imagine that's both sides right there, is just full of bone blocks. Now, the only problem is this middle section here, the crafters that we got all in place that craft everything. It got clogged immediately, like all the way back to here. It was clogged, which we don't want. And now I'm realizing that everything was going to these first ones and not filling up enough to go to these next ones. Like, it was perfectly siphoning into this edge ones on each side, but it wasn't going past that, which I didn't realize it was going to do. I figured it would have filled these up before then, but it didn't. So I think we're going to have to slightly adjust the crafter system and move it so that way it's actually over here, and then have the water stream kind of just all flow into this spot, which shouldn't be too difficult, other than we have to make sure that we don't touch the master switch. Oh, hello, Denalid. So yeah, those two levers you saw right back near me are the master switch, so it just goes through and it sends a signal all the way. A lot of the redstone is right underneath the floor, so you can't actually see it other than this, and then these go all the way up, all the way across, and they power this. Now, we do still have the levers here, so if we need to turn off a farm or two, let's say one of them breaks, instead of having to, never use the farm again until we fix it, we can be lazy, flick that one off, and have it permanently off until we can get to it later. But the moss farms are still just kind of sitting out here, so I do want to get a pillars kind of situated in here, mainly on this side and on this side, especially where the master switch is. I wanted to put a pillar and kind of have that going all the way up to the roof here. Now, speaking of the roof, we use deep slate tile bricks to kind of mold it to this weird shape. I was really weird with this. So we did these like archways here, and what happened is I did this design first, and I was like, okay, that's one design. Let's try another one that's a little taller. Then I did the one that was a little taller, and then I said, well, this is lined up perfectly with these. We just, we lined it up so that we is with the edges of these. Well, what if these two were the same exact design that were right in between, and then the ones in the middle here are much larger ones? So it does gradually get bigger in the middle, and then it goes down, and then I believe I did this side first. I was trying to make it symmetrical, and then by the time we got over here, I said, forget symmetrical, it's just going to be wonky, because if we do that, you're barely going to be able to see the roof anyways. We just needed something there. So yeah, and then not to mention, like, you're not going to have this view. We're going to have catwalks and stuff up there, which is the next thing I'd like to talk about. The reason I want a second elevator is this one just goes up and down. That's backwards, up and then down. And it's a one-way to the surface and to the inside of the moss farm. The one that'll go in here, well, I want to be multi-floored. So it's going to go to this floor here, and then I want it to go into a catwalk that'll be here, and then one catwalk per farm over here. This one might be a little bit complicated. And then I was thinking we have catwalks, actually not at the chests, but at this, like, right here. So that way you can easily get into the farm in case this part breaks. Oh, I wonder if this is out of bone meal. It shouldn't. These should all be self-fulfilled. Self-fulfilling. They should all, like, well, I mean, they fill themselves back up, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. So, yeah, that's a lot of the designs here, and, like, my plan is to use the same design we did in the iron golem. We have iron trapdoors going across as our little catwalk there, and then we have other irony bits kind of connecting it. And I'm thinking on the bottom side of that, we'll put end rods in to give light, and so that way it's not as dark as this. Like, this is really dark, and then we'll have lanterns on the floor. This is spawn proof, but not well lit. So we definitely want to change that out and make that a little bit better. And we'll create like a better situation down here. I plan to put a railing up here. So I need to figure out what I want to do for the railing, and then maybe something better for over here. And then once we get all of that in there, we can start getting our sand and our birch and all of that good jazz and kind of texturing around. We'll probably put, like, dirty bits around each moss farm, where they're close to the wall. Maybe it's getting moist in here because, of course, it's water and moss is very planty. So it probably is very moist in here. So the walls are probably kind of crumbling due to that. So we'll kind of play around with that and get the texturing done. And that'll give an idea of what we want to texture the rest of our base like. So that is very, very exciting. So I think the next step is probably getting that elevator and those catwalks in place. So I am going to build those, and I will show you them once I'm done with them. The rock I'm standing on is not the same rock that was here before. That's right. It's a different rock. In fact, the button's all the way over there, and the rock's all over here. So let's go ahead and stand. I believe it is right here. Hit that. Boom. So one thing you might notice, the elevator has actually changed, and this is now completely flush because we built a multi-floor elevator, and we changed this elevator to be the exact same design as a multi-floor elevator. Now you will be seeing that shortly. It was a pain in the butt to try to get this thing swapped over to the other design. That design will be linked down below. But there you go. There's that working and whirring to open the doors again. I had to rework that system again. But yeah, different design as you can see, but it is the same design as the one that is all the way on the opposite end. But you might have noticed a few things before I got there. We'll show you that later. So it is a multi-floor elevator. Right side to go down, left side to go up. So we can go to the next floor here. And look at that. It just stops. The one issue I have with it is if we go in here, there's a lot of holes in here for the redstone. So like this hole is there, and then you have this hole here. I tried to do my best to cover it up. Here's like what the redstone looks like. As I said, it'll be linked in the description. The next thing you might notice is all the catwalks here. I honestly really love the way the like iron trapdoors look for a catwalk, and I think this design looks especially a lot better since there's a lot more space in here compared to the iron farm. I really like the way this looks a lot better. And yeah, so we got, you know, using whatever this stuff is called, deep slate bricks there, using that kind of as an interloper block to connect up like awkward bits, because like this doesn't connect to an anvil, so we did this design to kind of help fix that. In fact, this is actually a little bit backwards, but it's fine. It's fine. These connect up, and like this, I'm very happy with this idea that I had right there. Because the problem was, like, this went all the way up, but it didn't connect into the bottom nicely, and I was like, well, we could put a hopper right there, and that connects it up neatly right there, just goes right into it, and then it funnels its way, so it makes it look very, very nice indeed. Now, this is the ground floor, so technically this is like floor 0, this is floor 1, and then you have 4 more floors above this for each of the moss farms. This design changed, you might notice that as well. So we no longer have the system that is in the middle here. Instead, each row has its own crafting system, which is just the, you know, generic design. Very bulky, but it gets the job done. The other design, as much as like slick as it was, just didn't quite fit the bill. I think I'm still going to link that one down below because I did use it for a little bit, but for the most part, we switched it over just because of space, not because it broke or anything. It was my design flaw for having everything funneled in the middle. The hoppers never pushed it to the middle. It kept going to the first ones. And those ones were making that bone block fast enough that it was all just going to the first crafter in the row of 6 that the other ones weren't being used. So I was like, all right, we got to have them per thing. And it functions fine. I've already tested it. It works great. And then just because it was kind of finicky to try to get the water, the bone blocks kept getting stuck, we decided to change it. And by we, I mean me. Decided to change it so that way where I have hoppers and then it goes into the water stream and pushes it over here. It's basically the same design. This is actually the more complicated side because the master switch goes through it. So I had to figure out all of that. That was fun. And they like going to the other side. It's very similar, very similar. This water stream's on the other side. These go here. Observer clock just in the dropper, so it'll always dispense. If you guys have any ideas of what to put on top of the hoppers, I don't really want to put composters here because I don't think that would look good. I don't know if pressure plates would do the trick because I think in recent updates you can just put a block on top of a hopper and that'll stop it from looking. Because all these hoppers right now are technically like sending signals to be like, okay, game, am I receiving anything or not? So I want to put something above this to just reduce lag. This is a big old lag machine, but it might not be causing a lot of lag, so I'm not like too worried about it. I haven't been told off by Denali yet. And also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but this moss farm is the same design that I'm using in A Little Bit Extra. And then speaking of A Little Bit Extra, I've kind of been neglecting it, if you haven't noticed, which is something I knew going into Fellowcraft that I was going to put A Little Bit Extra on the back burner, but I figured I'd ask you guys if you'd like me to continue working on it. Because obviously I don't want to just keep it on the back burner if you guys want more A Little Bit Extra content. So let me know if you want it. Comment down below if you want to see episode 15, because I have not started working on it. Another thing I figured I'd mention while we go up to the next floor is that I am back at school, so time is also limited. So that is something to consider, which is why videos might take even longer to produce, because I am in a film program and it is very time intensive. But alas, we can still make this, and this is just a huge project if you haven't noticed. It's been taking me forever, the amount of things I've done in this episode. But anyways, the design for this floor is exactly the same on all of the other floors here, which is quite simple. So going through at the start here, we have a very similar design to below. And I basically followed rules, like the grindstones will always have the back of this facing in, and this will always have the back of the stair facing in, so anvils go in those spots, even when spots are like little twos here. For this slot, because it was right over top of this, in order to be symmetrical with the other side, we just decided, alright, decided that I'm just going to put this like this. It makes it make more sense. All of them do that, using the hopper design for everywhere else, though. Have been tested. These iron trapdoors do not cause any problems. We have a gap right here, so that way this observer could go up and down, but because it's on the railing, it doesn't matter. This was an interesting one here, because I didn't like the iron bars connecting to the glass, so I needed some other block that went horizontally. And the issue with chains is you could walk right up chains, and I didn't want, like, to do this accidentally, you know what I mean? Right into the lava. So I was like, I need something that'll actually stop you. And I was like, Pale Oak. It's got the white for, like, the iron, so it kind of gives that vibe off. And I think it does what we need it to do for this. And, of course, you walk around the corner here, and you have a little ender right there, so you can't go any further. Though you get back and close. And then you can walk right into the moss farm if you need help. If you need to fix it, and then if you need to get to, like, the lever over here to do, like, turn this one off specifically, you can easily get to that. Same thing on this side. In fact, this is actually broken right now. This should not be like that. This needs to be here. Yeah, this always needs to be like that. So hopefully that fixes it. And we can also get to the moss things. I need to hook these up. Does this have bone meal in it? It does. This one is notorious. It just keeps eating. Oh, this one keeps eating bone meal. That one's fine. But yeah, that's kind of the design. They're very much symmetrical to each other. Kind of going that. And then we can, let's go. Let me show you this. Because all of these are the exact same. So if we go down, this happens. Don't worry. It goes up, so you can go down. Kind of broken like that, so it's kind of weird why it does that. Oh no, I've fallen to the bottom, and the elevator is up there. Whatever shall I do? Oh, well, you can call it. Look at that. You can just call the elevator down. So you can do that on all the floors, which is really nice, but as I said, the bottom one works. It'll send the elevator down, the call buttons work, but it'll always go up a block and then go down. Don't really know why it's doing that, but it is, so that's unfortunate. But what can you do? What can you do? In other news, there's only one last thing that I really want to do to this place, and it's deal with these, because if we turn this on, it's very dark in here. It's very dark. We don't want it. We don't want it to be this dark in here. So I want to put end rods on the bottom of all of these catwalks to kind of give it that more futuristic, modern look to it, more scientific look to it, because I think that would look quite good. And then just figuring out where we can put in certain, I don't know, like shelvings and whatnots to get these out of here, because we don't want that to be that way. And I want it to be bright enough that you can see everything in here. And then I may do some texturing on the wall just to get an idea of it, but I also really like the slickness of the white. Just kind of, I honestly really like the way it looks. It's very slick in here because it feels very mechanical, but may dirty that up. I may save that for another time because I really want to get this episode out to you guys. But I will be back in here to get those end rods up on those catwalks and get the lighting in here fixed so it looks a little bit better. Alright, as we come down the elevator, we now have a walkway here, as well as a whole bunch of stuff on the wall. So speaking of walkways, let me walk you through this. So this is actually the main entrance. I didn't want it to go all the way back up and down, just for that. So here we have the walkway, made of the deep slate bricks, as we have as our lining here, with some polished basalts lining that edge, and then lighting on the edge of that, and then more lighting on the sides here, as you might notice, there's a lot of lights because it's very dark in here. I actually have the gamma off. I know, crazy, right? You have the gamma off, so there's just like a lot of lights going on, which I think is pretty cool. I put some frog lights underneath. Here's some frog lights under there. Not 100% sold on the frog lights on the bottom, but the chests are really dark, and there's not really another better way to get them lit up. I suppose I could trade that out and put them all on the back wall, but I kind of like this. There are some in the sides, actually. You can kind of see them, but you can't. So it's really nice. I wonder if, like, like right in there, you can see the pixel of it. Anyways, and then we kind of have the same sort of lighting around that we've, put on some of these other places. This, like, beam here. And I actually really like the way it is. Like, this acts as a railing, but you can still walk in through here. We added some shelving units just kind of to fill in these extra gaps, especially where the levers are. We can't really move the levers because those connected there. We can't put them on this wall because of all the redstone behind it. And like that button, we can't really put on that wall because of the redstone for the door. And I don't really want to try to figure out how to move that around or anything like that. I'm not too concerned about it. And then you might notice these things. You're like, what are these? Well, it's supposed to be a computer. These computers are meant to control the moss farmer, like in the lore. These are the giant computers that are kind of controlling, I'm thinking of just like, Batman in his area, and he has like the wall of monitors, or any like scientific facility, all the NASA facilities, and they have all the monitors, all the desks and everything. I was trying to kind of go after that concept where you just have all of these monitors and stuff constantly firing and running with everything in any science facility. There's just everything. Problem, I don't really know how to get a monitor screen to really look up, so just use paintings for right now. We have a mod, or not it's a resource pack, not a mod. I think it might be a mod. I actually don't know. Anyways, that allows us to put in a stone cutter, and we can get whatever painting we want, so I didn't have to, like, finagle these annoyingly. I could put those there. So I might talk to Denali about a custom painting resource pack or something like that, so that way I can try to get, like, a more monitor-esque view on these and, like, actually put computer sciencey things on these so it doesn't look weird, but it's fine. I do really like the way that it came out. And then this is our AFK spot right in that door, same as the as our other place. Now if we go up a level, we actually did update some of this, so now we have a walkway around here. Some of these lightings have been added as well, so same kind of walkway design. We put the iron bars here to match this design, and then put the lever slash rod design up here, so now we can walk around. Just put the chains and grindstones on the edges to fill that gap in. I didn't really know what else to put there. This is meant to be a gate, like whether it goes across or it slides open, but I really just don't like it when things don't like connect up to certain spaces, which is why I have like stairs here, because I want it to actually connect and like walk things off. And this just wraps around the corner, but if we go in here, you might notice this as well, and you might be saying, whoa, you got levers there, but it's not touching the redstone. How can this be? Well, you can, when you place a lever, it actually faces towards you, so I could just, place that lever facing this way, place that lever there, and they're not actually flipped on. They're in the off state. So we can get away with putting levers on there, and so we can have lighting. So this is kind of what it looks like. I'm not going to go over to that side, but you can see it from here. Like, it's essentially the same exact design on both sides, and this way we can get around, we can have a little bit of a more visual, like, walkway area where people would actually go. We don't want people in the machinery. We want to keep them in their separate spots. Now, if we go back down, remember it goes up before it goes down. You go back down, and voila, we're back here. So, there's one last thing that I want to do in today's episode before we fully and truly can end the episode, and that's actually upstairs. I want to build a tree that's going to go right where the button for this elevator is, because right now it's just sitting on the ground, and that's very obvious. So instead, we're going to put an inconspicuous tree over top of it. So I'm going to head up this elevator. We're going to smack this button. We're going to head up this elevator, and once we get to the top, there's going to be a tree up there, and that's going to do it for today's episode. So let me ride the elevator, and I'll meet you guys upstairs. Alright, and as we ride the elevator to the top, there is now a tree at the top. Very nice, very nice. It's the same tree design as we have been using. We went ahead and slapped that there, rewired the redstone just a little bit so you can move this button up here, And as you saw, it's right here that we go. Of course, with the new design, this rock is now pushed back, so we don't have to worry about, you know, theoretically, when we have a forest up here, you're not going to know there's an elevator right there. The only giveaway that there would be is if we walk all the way over here to show kind of what we will eventually do at the top of this area. There's a lot of, like, stuff on the ground, and unfortunately, all of it will break when we go on to that. So that's unfortunate. So, like, you'll be able to tell it, that at least that's there. But we'll probably have this design kind of going over there. But yeah, tree is done. Moss farm's done. That's a lot of stuff that happened in today's episode. So I think that's going to do it. Sup chubbers in the back there. So that's going to do it for today. I will see you guys next time. Bye. Alright, let's check stock. Nope, 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 no, 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 and nope. Business is not booming.